Good, making sure your breath is right. Hey guys, it is Frannie. It's Time with Frannie. Super glad you're here. I'm going to wait for people to chime in because I know that lots of people are going to tune in tonight. I'm here with my big brother. He just sprayed some mouth spray to make sure it was all good. And we are actually in our, and we're actually in our hometown, and we're actually in the house that we pretty much grew up in because this is our grandma's house, our grandma and grandpa's house. And we're going to tune in today because I don't know if y'all know, if you've been following me, you probably know a little bit about my story. So hi June, we're so glad to see you. We're going to tell you a little bit about my story, how we're here today, and then we're going to kind of dive in. We're going to take the 30,000 foot view and land the plane today on online dating at 40 somethings. And for those of you who are not dating or you're not in the dating scene, you're going to want to just tune in because I have a feeling this will be actually somewhat funny because you have two people who are so different. Like, first of all, do we even look like brother and sister? No. When we're out, people are like, oh, is that your girlfriend or is that your, little boy's mom? No. Like, this is my brother. So, but why I'm here tonight in regards of Shine with Frannie. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when I started Shine, I actually had my vision was a TV show called Frannie on 5. And last week, a good friend of mine kicked me in the butt and she was like, so if you want a TV show, like, why aren't you doing this? And we're sitting really close together. So thank you, Kirsten. We're so glad you tuned in for that. So with that being said, my one friend was like, well, why aren't you doing a talk show? Like, you have social media and you're not getting any closer to your goal. And I was like, good question. So guess what? I'm doing my goal. I'm like, okay, starting in August, I'm going to start interviewing people and they're going to be on kind of some random things. So the Frannie on 5 premise is actually what I use to date. And I'm going to talk about that tonight because I have 5 criteria for dating and I'm going to talk about how it actually did not serve me in some degrees. If you know me, you know I'm OCD and you know I have a checklist. And the checklist doesn't always fall through in dating. I'm just going to tell you that. So with that being said, guys, I also want to let you know why we're diving into dating. Not only because my newly divorced, well, it's been a year, 3 years you've been, separated.
Separated for 3, divorced for about a year, just over a year.
Okay, so just give you a little landscape of what that looks like. But with that being said, since COVID, you guys, dating is up 700%. 700 because people were like, oh, I have nothing else to do. And here's the other thing. What they have noticed, a lot of these online apps, is that people are finding actually mates quicker. The reason why is because you actually have to get to know people. So like, you're actually taking the time to get to know people versus just like, oh, you get together and then you go on a date, right? And I use the dating analogy with business all the time. Like with all of my clients, I always say to them, look, it's not like going on a first date. Like sometimes people in business, they're like, hey, here's my offer. And it's like going on a date and be like, hey, do you want to jump in bed? And I'm like, you don't do that. At least I don't on a first date. So I'm very gainfully single, but I'm also Christian. And so we're going to talk a little bit about my perspective of that tonight. Not that Brian's not Christian, he's Christian, but he lives a little bit more by the world. So we're going to talk about what that looks like and how, the dating looks different. So we're going to dive in, you guys. So Brian, very quickly, you live here. Tell us how old you are. Tell us a little bit like your elevator pitch, if you will, without work stuff.
Okay, Brian Foltz. I'm 46 years old, as we alluded to already.
And he is single, so if you are on this...
I am single, yes.
Okay,
I have been
but he's dating someone.
I've been on the dating apps, yep. Because as she pointed to, I went through a couple of the friends trying to set me up and stuff like that. And apparently some people just don't know who I am anymore. Let's just leave it at that. And as I'm sure we'll probably dive into today, I have some hard no's, just like I'm sure she does. And maybe all of you out there do as well. And some people just...
And he doesn't mean nose like this, like nose like you want, like non-negotiables, right?
And mine's bigger anyway, but I got my grandpa's nose for sure. The hard nose, like for instance, for me, I'm very much into my health.
Pause for a second because we're going to get into that.
Okay.
We're going to get into that. We're going to dive into like the negotiables and things.
Okay,
so all you need to know is that he's single, 46, divorced for about 3 years, and here I am, gainfully single my entire life. Now, I have been engaged 1.5 times. Like, RJ had a ring, the second guy had a ring, but didn't work out. Like, we never got to that point. But Brian actually you were together for a long time. Okay,
yes.
So with that being said, guys, we're going to dive in. So online dating, I don't know if you guys, there are tons of apps for it. Which ones have you used? We're not going to talk specifically about the one you're on now, but which ones have you used?
I've been on the Facebook app.
Oh, I've never used Facebook for dating.
Yeah, Facebook has a dating app. Yeah, FYI. Facebook dating app, Bumble and Hinge. Those are the 2 that I've been on.
So never Tinder.
Never been on Tinder.
Okay. And I've never been on Tinder either because I hear it's a hookup site. So if you are single and you are looking to do this, I don't know. I wouldn't advise that because I've heard it's like a way hookup site. And I also heard it's more for like single or for the same sex relationships more so. FYI. I have done Match, eHarmony, and also, yes, Match, eHarmony, Christian Mingle, and then most recently Bumble. That's the one that I've kind of been on. And if you guys, please feel free to like chime in and ask questions because I'm going to answer questions. Like we're going to try to take questions that you guys might have. But with that being said, I don't know, for all of you ladies who are watching tonight, Bumble allows the woman to control, like you're the queen bee, and you have guys who come to your hive. So being a control freak like myself, I'm like, So here's the other thing you need to know, is that you can swipe left or swipe right, of course. Have you ever accidentally swiped one side or the other? And then I was like, no, I wanted to see that guy. Like I was so excited to like go back and then I couldn't get him back in my hive. Yeah. And I was mad about that.
Yeah.
Now, so when you're on Bumble, like if a girl, only until a girl swipes though, do you actually connect.
Right. She has but even when she swipes, she still has to make contact. She has to type or
reach out
you first. Correct.
So I kind of don't like that because I'm very traditional, and I'm going to talk about, that's what we're going to dive into first, is like your profile. First of all, and I'm currently on Bumble. I will tell you, I did meet both of the guys. Well, sorry, I met the one guy who I was almost engaged to. I met him on Match, and he was like my last guy that I was like, look, I did one summer, I don't know if you remember that. One summer I went on 100 dates. It was like the summer I was done with my graduate school, and I was like, well, I have nothing else to do. So I went on dates, and we're going to talk about that because like I have a first date outfit that I wear. I know it's kind of weird. It's weird. But anyways, I will also tell you that here, because Bumble follows you geographically. I didn't know if you know that. So like when I flew from Florida, yes, it uses your location. Thank you. When I flew from Florida and then I got here to Pennsylvania, I was like, whoa, like there were a whole bunch of different people. And I will tell you, I don't know if you know this. You showed up on mine. He showed up as a possible, and I was like, I have to swipe left.
Thank you.
I was almost going to do it just to like make him laugh and be like, and that would have been
freaky. Glad we could joke about it now.
Yeah, and I didn't tell him that. But the other thing about that is, the crop here of bees in my hive is far less than it is in Florida. Like, I'll just be honest. It said to me that at the end, it said, wow, you're really the queen bee. You've gotten to the end of the matches. I have no more matches available. Have you ever had that happen?
No.
I'm very selective. Okay, and then she had the worst luck on online dating. Oh, it makes me so sad. Well, okay, and you need to have a first date outfit. Oh my gosh, you have to have a first date outfit. And here's the other thing. You know what I also do? This is so OCD of me. And it's really hot here, you guys. So just so you know, I'm sweating. I'm sure he is too. I don't laugh. I keep a spreadsheet.
I know where that OCD. So, and even though you got your crush with online dating, we have a cousin that actually lives in Florida that met his wife.
Three. Sam, Danny, and Billy, all three met. Well, they met on Bumble, which is the reason why I chose to do it.
Okay,
I was
right.
Like, okay.
So our most recent cousin that got married on. He met the girl on Bumble.
Yes.
So there is hope out there. There are some of us that are still normal out there.
And Michael and Jen met on Match.
Right.
So we know a lot of people. Actually, I've been to 5 weddings who people have met online. So FYI. Okay, but let me tell you about my spreadsheet very quickly because I hate to say this. This is going to sound so pretentious of me, but I have a lot of people who I have a lot of people and I can't keep them straight. So I take notes. And then like when we go out, like I take notes like, oh, this was the guy who really likes Star Wars. And this is the guy who collects Howdy Doody. That's not really a thing. But like I then put on there like what their notes are so I can circle back to like, oh, he has 2 kids and he was born and raised in Kansas City or something like that. Like do you ever have that? No. Okay, well, maybe I'm going out with too many people. I can't keep them straight.
I was going to possibly bring that up, but since you want to bring it up, I don't spread myself that thin.
Well,
and I understand how it can get confusing, and I get it. Yeah. But guys, there's a guy named Mark Gunger. Look Mark Gunger up.
We'll put that in the chat notes later.
Yeah, Mark Gunger.
Jeff Hickman. Jeff said he would date either one of us. I love you, Jeff Hickman. I'm still waiting for that Dairy Queen milkshake to show up in my mailbox, brother. So bring it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
Mark Gunger.
Mark Gunger, he actually, and this is why I'm bringing this up because this is going to come up again later. Me as a guy, we compartmentalize things. We have all these little tiny boxes. And I got all these little boxes that sit up here in my head. This is Mark Gunger's explanation of it. Because a woman's brain is wired differently than a guy's brain. And he says, a guy, we have boxes for everything. And the boxes don't touch.
Right.
Whereas in a woman's brain, so he goes, if say for instance, when I was married, my wife would come to me with the car and say, hey, listen, we have some issues with the car, I would then take the box off the shelf. I would open up the car box.
That's so true.
And I would say, okay, listen, we have to look at the tires, we have to look at the engine, we have to do this, that. Once the car is finished and completed,
I never look at any of that.
I put the box back, I close the box, I put the box back on the shelf, and the box does not touch anything.
So here's the analogy that I heard. I heard that male brains are like waffles, that there's like these grids in them,
Yes.
and that women are spaghetti. They're just like,
And
whoa,
right.
like all put together.
Exactly. Mark Gunner does this in a different fashion because he's actually a Christian pastor.
Oh, I
and
love
he
that.
actually does this a little differently. We can put the link up later.
Yeah.
But it's like a 5 or 6 minute clip because then the woman's brain is actually, you know what? I was talking to you about the kids and in the car and
so true.
and everything is all connected.
It's so true.
And we as guys don't get that. And what's the worst thing that a woman hates? When a guy is in his nothing box. Because he's sitting there watching TV and going, flipping the channels,
Right.
and she comes over and says, hey, about the kids.
We're going to keep this moving because
So,
I
anyway,
don't want
all
people,
right.
I mean, we want to go.
We'll put the link up later. I'll post the video later.
Okay, so you need to get a first date outfit for sure, Danielle. You have to do that, okay? And Kirsten, I will show you my first date outfit, and it's always the same one, so it just makes it easy for me. Okay, so profile description. You only have so many, literally, you only have so many like characters
words.
you can use, kind of like a tweet. So I'm very overt in mine, and mine says right up front, I'm looking for someone who is faith, I can share my faith with. Like I say that right up front. And then I kind of make a joke and I'm like, I'm a party animal, well, at least until 9 p.m. Like, so mine's cute and fun and kitschy, and I think it's cute and funny. What does yours say, like, right up front?
Mine says, it says the active things I'm looking for. By the way, Randa, you can be nervous. I was nervous too because this was all new for me as well. But as my sister alluded to earlier with COVID, it was...
We love you, Lisa.
It needed something to do to kill time and pass time and wanted to see what was out there. It kind of exposed other options. But mine actually shows all the sports I'm into. So I like football, soccer, hockey, anything, sports related, that's me. Amusement parks, I race my ATVs and stuff like that. Obstacle course races. So put
people
all that
know right
stuff
up front
on
that you're like an adventure person. Like,
yeah, I'm the adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, don't
Right.
be like contacting me if you're a librarian.
Right,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, there's nothing against librarians,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like,
Correct.
yes.
Yeah.
And so Danielle, you're so right, like, because here's my thing. And okay, then you have like these little things you can click on, like, oh, if you're conservative or if you're a voter or like what your
Right.
sign is and all that. And like if you have kids or if you want kids or you're married or whatever.
Right.
Now, one thing that Brian and I both have noticed in our profiles is people who are married who are looking for someone to join in.
I've had 2 people reach out to me on some of the different
I've had
apps.
23.
I'm new to this.
Well, I think they want women more than men. No offense.
Possibly.
I think they want women more than men.
I
And I'm
take
like,
care of myself.
well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, no offense, but like when you see that I say at the very top, like, I am conservative and Christian, like, don't be asking me for a polyamorous relationship. And that's what it's called. Like, we had to look that up. Like, it's kind of crazy.
I had no clue what it was.
So it's crazy. Okay, so with the profile, so that's like your profile. So you have to make sure you put that out there and be very overt, like from the very beginning. But I need to tell you, the first thing, do you look at the profile or do you look at the picture first?
Picture first.
I look at the picture first too. And how long does it take you to like swipe left or right?
I do look at the picture first, and if there's different levels of connection, and obviously physical attraction for a guy has got to be.
It has to be physical first. And I'm just
Yes.
going to tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I take a millisecond. Mine's like this. This is how quick it is. Because listen, if you have an eye patch on in your first picture, I'm not swiping left or right. Sorry, I can't remember. I don't know my left from my right. If you have, I'm not kidding. If you have a Darth Vader mask on, I'm not swiping right. I'm just saying. Like, so if you're watching this right now, and if Jeff Hickman, if you're one of those people and you want to do that, like, I'm not doing that. Like, what is one of the things that's like when you look at like your no or whatever you're calling it, your no list or your hard nose, like when you see them at a profile?
In a profile,
Yeah.
I'm looking to see if they're active because I'm, like I said, being into my health and being the active guy and the adrenaline junkie. Today was I ran 4.5 miles, then helped somebody move for 2 hours, and then actually went out and raced my ATV for an hour. So I was constantly on the go today and on the run, but that's the way I like to live my life. You don't have to do that, but I want something that's at least going to be active.
And active is one of the things that
Correct.
shows you. It says like frequently,
Correct,
often,
right,
seldom,
exactly.
never, something like that.
So that's what I look at, and if they're active and they're willing to venture out and do some of these things, then they might get a swipe right. But the biggest thing that is confusing, which I know is going to come up later on, is that when they give you a profile picture and it's the first one,
And it's from 1995.
or it's a group picture.
Oh yeah. Yeah, guys, do not do group pictures. I'm just saying. I hate that. When I see a group picture, yeah, if you are going to go on online dating, don't even put a group picture. And I also know you don't do kids. He has a little boy, no pictures of your kids. You don't want to like sell, I mean, even though he's adorable and you would probably get people to like him. Like to like your profile with that. Okay, so he does have good genetics because okay, so with that being said, guys, like no kids, none of the like craziness. I just need to be honest, like you don't, I mean, it's kind of funny if you're like, oh, this is a work party and there was like a picture of you like dressed up as like Santa Claus or something. Like that's totally fine for me. All of my pictures are of me being active as well. Like there's a picture of me water skiing. There's a picture, cause I'm a thick girl and I don't want someone to be like, oh, you know, when they meet me, they're like, oh, you're a bigger girl. Like I want them to see my thighs out there, like right up front and center without me having to be like in a calendar magazine.
She is my sister and she's not doing herself justice because of how I know what she used to be. I know where she's at now. So
tons of fun, 300.
I know
okay,
I know how much she's worked at it. Okay, but I'm gonna sum it up this way. This is why we're kind of doing this. The he said she said thing. Don't use the angles. We don't want to use the angles. When I see it's an angle picture, if I see it's an angle profile, I'm swiping left.
Good.
Because I know what they did.
And a filter.
Exactly. If it's a filter and or an angle, swiping left.
And I've seen guys use filters too. It's funny.
Trust me, there's some of them that are out there that are way more technologically apt than I am, and I don't know how to use any of that stuff.
True.
I don't know how to do that on my thing.
I forgot about
that.
But
if I'm using that angle, that means I didn't want you to see something.
Exactly.
And just be upfront. You're better off being upfront with them, and for me anyway, you're better off being upfront, and that's what she's doing. She's saying, "Listen, here I am."
Putting it out there. Yep.
Exactly.
And it's not like I'm like, oh, look at me in a swimming suit. I'm just like, hey, this is what this looks like. And thank you, Kirsten, for saying that I'm hot. Nina, in regards to the best free dating app for Christians, I will be honest, the one I'm currently using is not exclusive for Christians. I've tried a few Christian ones, and I will be honest, the people I've met on there have not. Thanks, Danielle. The people I've met on there, and this came up in my last relationship. So I ended up dating a guy. I met a guy, and I thought he was the one. And I called Brian like after the first week and I was like, B, I think I met the guy I'm going to marry. And he's like, what? He was like, I need to come meet this guy. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Like this guy is like everything. So I was like all into this and whatever. So with that being said, there was a point to my story.
We were talking about filters and
apps. I can't remember what it was. Anyways, activities, I can't remember. But okay, let me ask you this.
On his profile?
It was something on his profile. I can't remember about being thick or whatever. I don't know.
About him being Christian?
Christian. Yes. So thank you for reminding me. So with that being said, he goes, I said, I've dated guys, and this is Nina's question. I've dated guys who said, oh, well, what do you mean that you've had guys who date you who are Christian? On Christian dating apps, it was Christian Mingle, I believe, and eHarmony, I had people, first interactions, like asking me to send pictures of myself without clothes on. Or asking me, and then also asking me if I would FaceTime, if I exchanged phone numbers, if I would FaceTime and have video sex. Not kidding. And these are Christian websites. So to your question, Nina, I have not used, I'm not saying eHarmony, that didn't happen on eHarmony, that happened on another one. And I also had a friend who, she had a guy asking for money on, I can't remember if it was Plenty of Fish. I can't remember which one it was. So I don't really necessarily subscribe to it has to be a Christian dating website or app. I think that you can kind of just go up, but like be very overt in your profile with that. Okay. So tell me, what is like your like progression of like, when do you stop messaging and then you call them and then you get to the meeting point? Like, tell me very quickly, because we want to move this on, because I don't want people to get bored. Let me know by a thumbs up if this is good. Okay? Let me know if you're like finding something helpful to you. Okay, yeah, and people want to send you naked pics too, Carrie. I mean, you're hot too, and I would want to see you naked, but not on the first date. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
progression, quickly.
So my progression is if I'm getting, if you will, the vibe that we're going back and forth via the app, some of the apps are clunky. Now, it might be because I might be on an iPhone 6S, the old school. Okay. Old school.
He's not on a flip phone, though, girls, so don't worry. So if you're interested, he's upgraded.
I've upgraded. Anyway. So
he has a new truck, though.
If I
put his money into his truck.
Yeah, exactly. So if I feel that it's going well and we've conversed for several days via the app.
Several days? Oh, hell no. No, you don't wait several days. If you're going back and forth via the app that much.
Well, that's it. It depends upon the activity.
Okay. So if it's just like once or twice a day.
Right. There's some of the girls that I've run into or conversed with on here are very busy professionals like myself, or because of their job or their schedules, we haven't had a chance to do anything other but than conversing. It's been maybe a couple of messages here or there sporadically throughout the day. But so I gauge the level of activity.
Yeah.
If the activity is going very well, or the responses are going frequently,
Yeah.
and it's going really well, I'll either ask for a number or ask if they want it, because a lot of the apps now you can actually they've updated it, right.
Yeah.
You can either video chat or call
that
through
video
the,
thing.
Call through the apps now. So they're like, hey, I'd rather do it that way. That's fine.
Right.
I go with whatever they're comfortable with.
Well, here's my thing. I don't want someone to be like waiting for me. I'm the kind of girl who I want someone to pursue me. And I'm traditional. And so I want you to ask.
By the way, I enjoy the chase.
Well,
That's
guys innately, you're designed for hunters and gatherers, right? And women are designed as preparers and nurturers. So I want someone to not chase after me, but I want someone to pursue me, right? And so with that being said, I want someone to go after me like, hey, what is your phone number? Can I call you? Yes, absolutely. Because I won't do if it's after literally a day or two and I've gone through at least 5 or 6 texts, if they haven't called me, I delete them. And I don't know if you know this, you can delete the conversation and then they never can access you again.
Yes,
and I've done it with several people. Mm-hmm. Because
you unlike them, unmatch them, unfriend them, whatever it is.
I just delete the whole conversation.
Yeah,
and
you can do that too.
Yeah, and then it just shows that they're
forever.
gone. Yeah, and so that's what I do, because I don't have time for that shenanigans, or as I like to call it, shafranigans. So with that being said, you guys, I want it quick and immediate, within a few days. And then I also like to meet somebody within a few days, because I'll be honest, and here's the thing, I never meet someone first before talking to them on the phone.
Okay.
Because if someone uses double negatives, or if in their email exchange to me, their text exchange to me, they use all lowercase i's and they spell the wrong your or the wrong it's, I know I'm really rotten, and I shouldn't hold that against someone, but I do.
We were brought up with proper phonetics because we had good schooling, good teaching, good upbringing and stuff too. So
and I'm an English teacher and a writer.
Yeah, there's people that misuse your, there.
Yeah, there's not 3 yours.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, but there and there. That's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but there's people that misuse that, and it can be but autocorrect does get you sometimes. I will admit that.
True that.
But to answer your progression question, and so if things have gone well and the replies have gone frequently, then I'll ask, and if they'd rather do the phone call or the app thing, then we'll do it that way. But if things go well enough,
you initiate it.
Correct.
Hey, what do you want to do next?
Correct.
So see, that's my thing is I want someone to initiate. Don't ask me to give, don't wait for me to give you my phone and be like, hey, here's my phone number. Ask me first. That's my thing. And I feel like that's the manly thing to do.
Now, in reply to that too, because of the way things have gone, because of this online dating thing and the way the world is now, and the way women are more vocal or more even somewhat aggressive, if you will, I've had a few girls just even give me their number without even asking.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
after
do
a
that.
couple of days.
That might be the reason why I'm also single. And I've had people say oh, are you just picky? Especially I am picky. You haven't had this though because you've been married and divorced. People will say, this is what they literally say, and I know some of you are also in the same boat as me. People will say, well, what's wrong? You've never been married and you don't have children. That happens. I get that question a lot. People will say, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, I have extremely high standards. And right now, by you asking that stupid question, I don't say that. But I want to. Sometimes I want to kick them in the teeth, but I don't. Okay, so now you're on the first date. What is a typical good first date for you, or what do you kind of initiate as a good first date?
Well, if they're active, I've actually just gone walking in a park before, or I've gone, we've gone for a bike ride.
Well, because it's hard, because COVID, right? You can't be like, oh, let's go do a ton of whitewater rafting.
Right.
Which I would do as a great first date, by the way. Great first
that would
date.
be. There's actually...
Except for you don't talk a lot.
There was somebody that wanted to go, I saw on her profile, it said something that she aspired to do was going skydiving, and I replied to her, hey, that'd be a great first date, been there 5 times. And she's like, 5 times? I'm like, yeah. So that started the conversation. Yeah. Because I have. The first time I went, I took her.
Yep.
So that was one of her birthday presents one time that I got her for her birthday one year. So, but, so as far as a first date, or, some people are now, want to wear a mask. Some people are respecting social distance. Everybody's different. So once again, to deal with the politics things, this is also a preference. So and since COVID has come around, I've asked the question I ask is, what is your social interaction with the current circumstances?
Yeah, that's very polite. I haven't had anyone ask me that.
Well, some of the apps have it built into them now, or some of the apps are giving you the option.
Yeah.
Socially distance with a mask.
Yeah.
Or without, or some of us, or the people that are on there have it filled out, some don't.
weigh in if you're watching this and you're like in the dating scene, if you would actually go out with someone. Like I've met people, like I go out and meet people all the time. My first date with this guy that I started talking to back in May, we went paddleboarding and it was great. We met at the beach and I was like, at first, I'll be honest, I freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, our first date, he's going to see me in a swimming suit. And then I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to just bear it all. Okay. So my thing is, this is my thing. First of all, I won't talk to anyone. I won't go out with anyone who I haven't talked to on the phone because I want to make sure that they're like legit and they don't sound like Mike Tyson. Just be honest. I'm just going to tell it like it is. And then the second thing is, on my first date, I never do a meal. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm Christian and I feel like in the past, because I wasn't always Christian. Well, I've always been Christian, but I wasn't always walking with the Lord. But I felt like in the past, like, oh, if he buys me dinner, then I have to like make out or do something else. And I've always felt like that. And so because of that, then I won't do a meal. Like I'll always like meet at the beach or go paddleboarding or, hey, let's go kayaking or something. And then I typically, even though I'm very traditional, especially if I don't think it's going to go anywhere, I will pay for my own.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I don't want there to be any questioning about any of the shenanigans at all. And Stephanie, yes, it sounds like a great way to meet someone and have a first date. Yes, activities are the best way ever because you also, like, you can talk about something else unless you're, like, uber embarrassed, but you have to just get over yourself because, like, I fell in the water the first time. Like, I literally slipped on, like, well, the wave took me over. And I was wearing a cover-up because I was afraid. And then it was, like, now I was just, like, in a wet T-shirt contest. So it was really bad. It was really bad. And it was long to the ground. Okay, we're going to keep this moving. And, guys, if you have any questions, like, feel free to, like, weigh in and ask. Okay, so my question is, okay, so let's say that things aren't going well and you're like, okay, this is not, I have a whole list of notes, guys, and I haven't even gotten through all of them. Things aren't going well and you're like, I'm just not really feeling the vibe. What do you do or what do you say? Or do you not say anything? Because ghosting is not allowed. I'm just telling you right now.
I have never ghosted anybody.
Well, you're a man of upstanding, valor.
Well, I know. It's happened to me several times, but well, thank you, Fran, for the compliments. But none of us are perfect, right? But I'm a better version of today. I'm trying to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I will not. I will be upfront and let somebody know where we stand or what you're feeling. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So the way I've done it is I just tell them I think we're looking for different things in our significant
That's
other.
a nice way to say it.
Because there's some times where, as we were talking about, I know that the naked pictures and things have come up. I actually had a girl that we exchanged phone numbers, and she had an iPhone as well. So we decided to do a FaceTime, to follow your progression of things.
Yeah.
We actually did a FaceTime call, and she actually asked me this, and I was like, okay, and it's because of how things like this have gone. She's like, hey, can I ask you to take your shirt off? And I'm like, okay. Completely caught me off guard.
This is new news to me. I did not know about
this. It completely caught me off guard, but because I'm a man of equal opportunity, I said, I will if you will.
That's so wrong.
Hey, good
man
for the
of
goose.
Equal opportunity.
Good for the goose, good for the gander.
No. Did she do it?
Yeah, but I knew she was wearing a sports bra. I could tell. Okay?
I don't care.
But the reason why is because she had met people.
Did she have a uniboob? Could you tell? She had a uniboob. That's how he could tell.
No. Anyway. The point was that the reason why she asked is because before she wanted to meet me, she wanted to see what I look like, and because my profile pictures have me racing my quad.
Someone, I would say, step 3 feet back away from the camera. You don't say to someone, take your shirt
She asked me if I did, so I did it.
Did she see you have a six-pack, and that's why she was like...
I don't have a six-pack.
He does.
I got the top two. That's it.
Okay.
I still eat ice cream, so I don't have a six-pack.
Well, whatever.
Anyway, the case in point is that she had been used to having people that were lying or being facetious about what they actually looked like and how active they really were and how they don't take care of them.
They call that the catfish. For those of you who are just new to dating, it's called the catfish.
Right. So I was like, okay, but she then too, I could tell because she took her shirt off too, but she was actually she took care of herself as well. So she was defined and had muscles and stuff like. So
did you guys go out?
Yeah, we ended up meeting.
Okay. Well, I want to ask how that went. I don't want to know if you took your shirt off or not in person. Okay, so the next thing is, so with that being said, like my line is, I think you're a really great person. I'm just not feeling it. And I think I like your line better. It's like, I think we're looking for something different. Each of us is looking for something different in a mate. That's really, a significant other. I think that's a really good thing. Because the guy that I just dated back in May, June, July, whatever, guys, he texted me to end it after 3 months. Not acceptable. Texting to end it, not good. FYI, so don't do that. Okay, next, I have a few questions and it's starting to get dark here. So, okay, here's a question. Do you put it all out there? And what I mean by that is, so I have a friend who says to me, she always says, tuck your crazy in. Don't talk about everything on the first date. And I think to myself, I don't really know exactly what that means. So what exactly do you put out there? Like, do you talk about like your like past relationships? Like, what do you bring out there? Not necessarily the first date, but like in through conversation and texting and stuff like that. Like, what are you kind of sharing at that point? Or, I mean, kind of what is the conversation what are the questions you're asking and stuff?
It just really depends upon whether or not they've been divorced or not as well, because sometimes they're asking, well, they're, if you will, fishing or catfishing again. They're fishing to see if you're emotionally available, and some people sit there and do nothing but talk about their ex, and it can be
that's annoying. Don't do that if you're going on a first
or even previous dates or boyfriends, as I like to say, it was BB before Brian, so
I said before Christ. That's great.
Yeah, BB before Brian.
Yeah,
not before Christ, BC.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's BB before Brian, because I don't care about what the past was. Are we going to move forward, or is there potential to move forward together? If there is, great. If there isn't, that's fine too.
Yeah,
that we're here to try and figure that out. That's what the gist of this is. It's very hard to do these days because nobody wants to put any work or effort into it. Everybody's looking for that being swept off their feet and floating on a bubble, or floating in the clouds. We're all looking for that because we have these fixes with our phones and the hits of dopamine we get when we get text messages or emails and all that kind of stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're looking for that. And nobody wants to put any work or effort into it, but that's actually what it requires.
Yeah.
You have to put some effort into it. So as far as what was the question?
The question was just like,
putting it out there.
Putting it out there. Yeah,
putting the crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much an open book because I do feel that transparency is the best thing, because if you're truthful, you don't have to remember the lie.
Yeah.
So you don't remember what
secrets make you sick.
Yeah. You don't have to remember the truth. The truth is automatically there because it's what happened.
Yeah.
So I have no problem putting it out.
And you and I both have a problem with lies.
Right, exactly.
With people who lie.
If it's but do they need to know every single detail? Obviously you're going to be selective about certain things that may have gone on or happened.
Yeah.
Maybe if there was a history of abuse or cheating or something like that, you can just I caught them with somebody else.
Right.
You don't need to go into details.
What about if you were the one who did it?
It's not me. I don't know. It's not me.
Right.
I can't answer that. I don't know. I haven't been there.
Right.
So but that's the biggest thing to talk the crazy or talk about the crazy is that I can a lot of times because. Let's look at it. We're in our 40s because we're all in our 40 somethings here. That's why we did this. Is that we've all had some type of life experience.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something that you can relate to, or something that happened to you, whether it be a parent passing away, or our house was taken by a tornado,
right.
or whatever it was. So there's always
some type of adversity that you've been through.
Right. Exactly. Because our past doesn't define who you are, but it does shape and mold your
character.
Your characters and some of your decisions and so forth. But
and quirks.
Yes, exactly. But until you've walked in their shoes, it's...
Hi, Ryan.
It's... Okay.
Sorry, that's my friend Ryan.
So, but until you've walked in their shoes, the best thing to do is actually just sit down and listen and try to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
As I've told people before, or some of the girls I've met and so forth or conversed with, is that I'm a judgment-free zone. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know why you're doing that. He's like
Planet Fitness. Just kidding. Wait, I want to talk about two things really quickly. One, Ryan says, say that again for people in the back. So here's one of my favorite pastors. He says two things, and I love you, Ryan, by the way. Sexy Lopez is also his stage name, and you need to go by that from now on. In fact, that should be your profile name. I love you so much. Okay, with that being said, one of my favorite pastors said, he's a singles pastor. He said relationships are good, but they're hard, and relationships are hard, but they're good. And I love that because it's the reciprocity, right? Like they can be so good, but they're work. And they can be so hard, but they're so good, It's just a matter of what you put in. So now with me, and I'm not by any means, I'm not famous by any means, but I put a lot of stuff out there in my blogs, and I put a lot of stuff out there on social media. I've written about, the time that I pulled cake out of, the garbage after I put Palmolive on it. Like, if somebody reads that, they're going to be like, she's a little bit crazy. And I'm a lot bit crazy. And then the first time that I saw Playboy, like I've talked about that before. Like, so there are some things that I feel like people could see and would be like, she's a little bit crazy. Or like my fat pictures. I'm sorry, I hate to say that. But when I was overweight, right? Like, so I put that out there. Like, I kind of come out of the gate with that. When I'm like, I'm part of the Clean Plate Club, but let me tell you what. Like, I also like to exercise. Like, I come out of the gate. Like, if I eat, and I'll eat a burger. I don't eat a salad on the first meal. Hi, Carrie. So with that being said, I kind of put not a lot of my crazy, but I'm very transparent, like you said. If they ask me, I tell them. I put a lot of things out there in my text, communication with people. I'm like, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. Like, I'm really out of the gate. Like, and I ask them, what is a typical Sunday routine for you? Because I want to know if they say to me that they go to church or they watch a sermon or read the Bible or do something, that to me, and I'm like, oh, and then I'll say like, oh, I saw that you're a Christian. Do you attend any services? Like I put that out there right away. And I feel like the question is very open-ended. So it doesn't give like that like awkward, like, I don't know. And then I'll just say, hey, I don't think that we're the right people. Like we're a good fit. So for me, I put a little bit of that crazy out there, and I don't care, because
that's not crazy. That we need to. A lot of people need to connect to their faith these days. So, but my sister is. We'll put it this way: she's very passionate about her faith because that's part of her. I'm very passionate about taking care of the body and nutrition because that's what I do.
It drives me.
Exactly, and that's what drives me. So you have to find, or as Simon Sinek puts it, which I'm sure you know who that is from my sister or myself or whatever, if you guys follow any of us. But if you find that that's part of your why. So, and I'll actually ask somebody like that. I've actually been on a date before. I asked somebody, so what's your why? And they just look at me and say, huh?
A lot of people don't think that deeply.
Right, I know, but if the conversation goes there, like I'll bring it up.
Yeah. Okay, here's my last question. Is what do you do, like when do you, not what do you do, but like how do you do, it's called the DTR, the defining the relationship, the DTR. So, because when do you stop looking? Now, here's a little FYI for you. I've read so many books, you guys. From my 30s to my 40s, almost 40 pretty much, I decided I was not going to look for the one, but I was going to prepare to be the one. All right? So with that being said, I was going to prepare to be the one. I did tons of things. I went out and I traveled. I got to see all the states except for Alaska. I'm still waiting on Alaska. I did a ton of things. I started a business. I started leading ministry. I worked in the juvenile detention center. I volunteered all the time. Like, I did a ton of things to help me become a better person. And, I believe to be a better person. So with that being said, I read a whole bunch of books about being married because I was like, one day I'm going to be a wife. And this year I even told somebody like, oh, well, when I get married this year, which by the way, that day was supposed to be yesterday. 8/8 is my favorite number. And it was Saturday. I didn't get married yesterday in case you're wondering. I'm still single in case any of you are wanting to mingle. I'm just kidding. Okay. With that being said though, this book that I read called Swipe Right, they talk about, which is obviously about online or about dating. And they talk about how when you go to a restaurant or a grocery store and you have all those like little jellies, they're like, oh, you want to try these cheeses? You want to try these jellies? If you have more than 3 options, that you actually don't make a choice because you're too overwhelmed. So with online dating now, people are actually not making choices because they keep on thinking, oh, the next person is going to be there. What if there's someone better and I have not waited? Like, that's what they keep thinking. Right. So my question to you is like, when do you stop like looking? And when do you stop? You can come in, Mom. My mom's here. She might weigh in. Oh, Lord of mercy, help us. No, I'm just kidding.
Dating in your 70s.
She can sit right over here. So with that being in your 70s. But with that being said, when do you stop? Because, and I found this out too. You can snooze the apps. And then you can also delete the apps, of course. But when do you stop looking? Like, when do you stop looking at the app?
I've never actually snoozed one yet, but I actually just quit looking at the profiles and stuff like that. If I'm engaged with somebody, I'm engaged with them. But I'll actually sit down and have the conversation with them. The facts are I have a good friend that's, on several of the apps or been through several of the apps and so forth.
Like simultaneously?
Yeah. And
do you ever get repeaters?
No.
Like people you see on the same one?
No. Oh, yeah. They're on both. There's somebody that's on Bumble
so
and
funny.
On Hinge.
Don't do that.
I've had somebody that's been on Bumble and Hinge, and they tried to send me a like on both
she
of
loves
them.
You. Mandy, we love you too.
Yeah,
Hillary, I love you. We miss you.
They tried to send me a like on both on both apps. I'm like, no, there's a reason why I swiped left or you weren't in the
That's funny. That's really funny.
And the point I'm getting at with this is what she's talking about with the 3 choices. It's the stats with this are that today in today's world, the average person dating that's on an online app, guaranteed they're talking to at least 2 to 3 other people other than you.
I have like 5. I'm not kidding. Because I just want to make sure that like, this one's really cool and I really like him for this. But I'll be honest, I'm only talking to one right now that I actually see as like moving forward and have like future and potential with, just to be honest.
The point of this though, or to where it's going though, or to ask your question about the DTR, is that
that's define the relationship in case you're wondering.
Define the relationship as we talked about it. Sorry, we're using acronyms already. I know everybody does that these days. It drives me nuts too. But because like what I wasn't part of that conversation, I missed what it was. Anyway, to define the relationship, I'm a straightforward kind of guy. If that's a nail and I'm a hammer, I'm gonna be straightforward with it. So I will flat out ask, hey, is there anybody else that you're talking to, or can we? Actually, our cousin put it best because remember when there was exclusively talking, or exclusively seriously talking.
Yeah.
So
there's many stages of dating, and that's what I do.
Correct. But I'll flat out ask, hey, where does it, if it's good, things are going well, and it's been.
But
a
you're
little
the
bit of time.
guy. You should not wait for the girl to. You should.
No, I
not,
bring it up.
I know,
bring
but
it
you
up.
should not ask her where you are. You should say, "Hey, I really like you. This is what I would do if this was me. This is what I would do. This is what I would want."
I have a lead-in or an intro with it, if you will. Like, hey, listen, things are going really well, and
I would say my perspective is things are going really well, because if she's like, "No, I just like you for free dinner,"
I've had that.
which happens. I know I've
had that.
I'm like, well, he's cool to hang out with.
Twice.
I've got nothing else to do.
Twice. It happened probably about 6-8 weeks ago, or maybe 2 months ago or so. Twice I got hung for a pretty decent bill. Didn't go back.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and that's the other thing,
when
too.
She started
is
ordering
like,
bottles of wine for the table. I'm like, who the heck's going to drink all this?
yeah.
Because I know I only had one glass of each of the three bottles. I had one.
Well,
glass.
I'm a cheap date, too, because I don't drink. So just an FYI, in case you have any singles
I've cut
out there.
back on it.
Hey, which, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, he's cut back. But he did say that he's had people set him up before. I don't have anyone set me up. I'm not kidding. I don't think I've had friends set me up. And my one friend said, your standards are too high. Guess what? I received that. That's a compliment to me. No offense to you that people are setting you up or whatever.
Well, it was a timing thing, and they had friends that were single, and there's just a time. And I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. And,
yeah. It's a good way to do that, though. If you have, because you know somebody and there's like that credibility factor, I really feel like that. Okay, well, for me, going to the DTR comment, if it was me, I would want a guy, and this is what and Hillary knows this, Lord only knows, she had listened to 1,001 of my conversations, because I was like, he's not bringing it up, like where we're going with things, like he's not bringing it up, and she's like, let it go, let it ride, and that was driving me crazy, because I wanted to put a label on something, because I think like a guy sometimes, where I want like a compartmentalized, and Brian was like, don't do it, don't put a label on it. Like I called him, because we were both online dating at the same time, and he was like, don't put a label on it. And so finally I was just like, so what are you looking for in a relationship? That's how I started it.
That's fine.
And it was after like 7 weeks. And I was like, all right, like, what are you looking for? And then he was like, well, we talked about sleeping together. And I was like, yeah, that's not happening. So then that was kind of the downfall of it all. And so, which was fine, because I was like, look, like, you know where I stand. And then that was it. And it's getting dark out here. And so here's the thing. If you have any questions, like my whole point of this, you guys, is for a couple things. One, as I told you in the beginning of this, like I really want to be able to provide people with a service that is like, wow, a different perspective, and gives you something to think about and something to look at. And then also, I'm going to just start like randomly doing different shows. Like every week I'm going to do a different show. And it might be on something like, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about health insurance one day. Or maybe we'll talk about like eating healthy. And maybe one day we'll talk about business. Who knows? It's going to be different every single week. So I might have Kelly Cardman come on and sing, because why not? And I might have Jeff Hickman come on and talk about mixology classes. Like I just don't know where it's going to go. And Sexy Lopez, I can have you come on and talk about going to Mercyhurst with me and being a part of my, I don't know, freshman year orientation group, okay? Who knows what this is going to look like, but I haven't decided if I'm going to call it Frannie on 5 yet or not. That's what my initial dream was. So anyways, we just shed some light on the subject of online dating, and we hope that this was helpful to you. Give me a little thumbs up if you learned something, if you were entertained for a hot minute. Just let us know. If you have any topics that you would like for me to talk about, or something that you feel like the light should be, shined on, all those little things, then please, by all means, let us know that too. And I love you guys, and I'm grateful for you, and thanks for watching and tuning in today. And if you are single, or you know somebody who's single, this guy right here, he lives in Western Pennsylvania.
In the Western Pennsylvania area.
Me, I'm not really sure just yet where I'm going, wherever the spirit leads me. So I don't know. If you've got a really cute guy in Columbus for me, Ryan, then maybe I'll go there too. I'm just kidding. All right.
This one's 2.5 hours.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you so much. Love, love, love you. And yes, let's go back. Let's totally talk. Oh my gosh. You didn't, Ryan. You did it. And we should call Ron Rambley. Let's do that. Oh my gosh. Hillary, I love you too. Bobby, we love you. We hope you. Okay. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love it so much. This is great memory lane. Okay, Stephanie, if you have any questions, like by all means about about online dating, I'd love to be able to answer more. Okay, have a great night, guys. Love you guys. Oh, listen to him. How old is he, Hill? 46. Hillary has some friends. He is way missed the Foltz family. Hi, Eric. I'm kidding. Yeah, you should be kidding, Ryan. You know I won't be calling Ron Rambley for anything. There was a really cute boy though in the freshman dorm. What was his name? Oh, gosh, I can't remember. You would know, Ryan. Okay, love you guys.